Hello everyone, in today's tutorial we'll see how to create this watercolor effect using Adobe Photoshop. Alright, so let's get to it. Alright, so let's go and open Photoshop, and then I will take the image that will be used as a background and open it in here. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to do is to make a selection of this paper that we'll be using as, a canvas to put the water effect in it. So it will look like it's been drawn with this, pen, and, if you want to believe that, of course. And for this clip pen, I thought of removing it, but then I'm like, no, it looks really good. And who doesn't like clip pens anyways? So I'm just gonna keep it like that, and then I will select my pen tool, and I'm gonna try to make a selection using this pen tool in here. So I will be using as a path, so make sure that you are selecting path instead of shape in here. Alright, now I'm gonna zoom in and I will make 1 point, and I will go just right about here. As you can see, it's a straight line, so we can just go right about here and we'll make another point. But this time I'm gonna drag like that, so I will make these two handles, and I will try to follow the lines in here. Alright, now I'm gonna press Alt or Option, and I will put this handle in here. I can remove it if I press Alt and put it just right about here, so I can follow this from here. And I will make another point, and then I'm gonna drag a little bit, and I will follow this in here until I will make my selection. So I will fast this a little bit, and I will be back in. Alright, as you can see, I'm done making this path. Now I'm gonna press Ctrl and one click outside of it, and this will allow me to create another path that will be with this path. Alright, so I will create a path for this shape in here and this one. So I'm gonna start from here, and I will make this path really quickly. Alright, as you can see, now again I'm gonna press Ctrl and one click outside, and then I'm gonna make this shape in here. Alright, and again I'm gonna press Ctrl and one click outside, and there we go, we have our path in here finished, and this will be our canvas. Alright, now I will switch to my path in here. As you can see, we have 3 panels in here: channels, layer, and path. And then as you can see, we have this work path. We need to save it so we can go back and make a selection whenever we want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double click on it, and then I will give it a name. So I will name it paper, and there we go. I will press OK, and now we have saved as paper. Alright, now I will go back to layers in here, and then I'm gonna create a new layer, and I will call it canvas. So now what we're gonna do is to add a little bit of texture on top of this paper in here. As you can see, it is good, but I want this canvas texture to be shown in here. So while I'm selecting this canvas layer in here, I will first make sure that to load my selection by right click and choose make selection, and I will press OK, and then I will fill this selection with white. So I'm gonna press Alt backspace or Option backspace, and then I'm gonna press Ctrl D or Command D to deselect, and there we go, we have this white paper in here, which doesn't look good for now. Alright, so I will make sure that I'm selecting this canvas layer, and then I will go to filter, and then I'm gonna choose filter galleries. Alright, now in this texture folder in here, I will open it and I will choose Texturizer. Alright, now in this texture option here, make sure to choose canvas. Alright, and then for the values, you can put whatever values you want, or you can put the same as I have in here. And for the light, I will change it to top right instead of top only. So this will change it to this really cool canvas for drawing, and that's what I want. So I'm gonna keep it like that, and I will press OK. And there we go, we have this really cool canvas, but I don't want it to be in this color, so I'm gonna change the blending mode of it to blend with the original paper in here. So I'm gonna change the color from normal to multiply, and there we go, we have this texture in here applied on this paper, as you can see. Alright, this is really cool. Now I'm gonna make a new layer on top, and I will call it paper, and here where we're gonna apply our image. So I will put the same shape that we created. So again, I will go back to my path, and I will load my path in here, and then I will right click on it, and I will choose make selection again, and I will press OK. Alright, now I will go back to layers, and then I will fill it with white again by pressing Alt backspace, and then I'm gonna press Ctrl D to deselect. Alright, now I'm gonna right click, and I will choose convert to smart object, and there we go, we have it as a smart object. Now we can open it in a new tab by double click on it. Alright, now I will go and open the image I will be using, which is this one. So I'm gonna take it and open it, and I will one click on this check mark to commit the change. Alright, now we need to make it as a clipping mask on this paper, so it will take the same shape that we have from the paper. So to do that, we're gonna press Alt or Option and go in between the paper and the image, and as you can see, the cursor will change to this down arrow in here. So while I'm pressing Alt, I will go in between and I will one click, and there we go, we have it as a clipping mask to this paper. Alright, now while I'm selecting this image, I'm gonna press Ctrl T or Command T, and I will make it bigger so it will fit just right about here. Alright, and I will one click on this check mark. Alright, now we need to save it, so I will close it, and then I'm gonna make sure to press yes to save it in this smart object. Alright, now we have our image in here ready in the same shape of the paper. Now we need to apply some effect on it. So the first effect that I'm going to apply is a blur. So I will go to filter, blur, and I will choose smart blur. Alright, let me zoom out a little bit. Alright, for the radius, I will put around 5 to 7 radius in here. So I will keep it to 6.1 or 6. And for the threshold, I'm gonna put 25, and the quality is set to high and normal in the mode. But feel free to experiment with the values. You might ended up using different values to have a different result. Alright, so I will keep it like that, and I will press OK. Alright, now I will go back to filter again, and this time I'm gonna choose filter galleries in here, and the filter I'll be using is in this brush strokes. So I will open this folder, and I will use this angled strokes in here. And for the values again, you can put the same values I have in here, or you can choose whatever values you want. But if you want to use the same in here, I have 50 in the direction balance, and 10 in the stroke length, and 6 in the sharpness. Alright, and I'll press OK. Alright, next I will go again to filter, and again I will go to filter galleries, and this time I will open the artistic folder, and I will be using the watercolor in here. Alright, as you can see, it's a little bit darker, so we need to tweak the values again. So for the brush details, I'm gonna put 14, and then in the shadow intensity I will put 0, and I will keep 1 in the texture. And again, you can choose whatever values you want, but for me I will keep it like this, and I will press OK. Alright, so our effect is ready. Now I'm going to change the blending mode of it to multiply. Alright, as you can see, it doesn't look really good for now, but it will when we're gonna apply the brush on it. So now I'm gonna apply a black line mask on top of this paper. So I'm gonna press Alt or Option, and then I will one click on this layer mask, and this will make it black, which is mean that the image will disappear. Alright, now it's time for us to use our brush. So the brush that we'll be using is in Photoshop. It's come in default. So I will go to my brush in here, and then I will right click. And if you are using the same version of Photoshop, which is the latest one, 2018, you won't find the legacy brush that it came with Photoshop. You won't have it in here loaded. So to load it, you need to go to this gear icon and then choose legacy brush in here and press OK. And then you will have this folder that is full with the default brushes that it's come with Photoshop. And for us, the folder that we'll be using is the natural brushes tool. So I'm gonna open it, and as you can see, you can use from these 4 watercolor brushes in here. As you can see, if I hover over this one, you can see this is watercolor 1 and this is 2, 3, 4. You can choose whatever from this one. So I will be using this watercolor 1, and then I'm gonna apply some custom setting on it. So I will go and open my brush settings from here, and if you can't see this brush settings, just go to window and make sure that brush setting is checked, or press F5 on your keyboard. Alright, now the first setting that we're gonna apply is in the spacing. So I'm gonna put 1% in the spacing because we don't want any space in between, and 1 is the lowest that we can have, so we're gonna put it. Alright, next I will go to shape dynamics and I will apply a size jitter. So I'm gonna put 50% to 40. So we only needed to have these sketchy edges in here, which will be really cool for our effect. So I'm gonna put around 50%. Alright, next I will go to transfer, and for this actually I will really recommend to use a drawing tablet. So if you do, just change the control of the opacity jitter to pen pressure, and the same for the flow jitter, put pen pressure in here. And you don't need to put any values if you do have a pen, but if you don't, you can change it to off and put around 50% in the opacity jitter, and the same for the flow jitter, put it off and put around 50 to 60% in the values in here. So for me, I don't have my tablet plugged in, so I'm gonna keep it like that. And in case you are not using a tablet, it will be cool to see it in working here. Alright, so the last thing that we are going to add is this wet edges. So we're gonna just check it. It won't give us any values or anything. Alright, now we're gonna save this brush. So I'm gonna one click on this new brush icon, and I will name it Watercolor Custom, and make sure to put a check mark on these 2 in here and press OK. Alright, now our brush is ready to use. Next, I will go to the layer mask in here, and I will double click on it, and this will open the properties. And then I will go to the density in here, and I will put 70%. And this will allow me to see a preview or a glimpse of the image, so I can see where I want to brush exactly. Alright, next I will head to the opacity of the brush, and I will put around 70%. Alright, now I can brush using white as my foreground, so make sure to switch it to white instead of black. If you don't have it in black and white in here, you can press D to bring it to default, and then press X to switch between white and black. Alright, black it will hide because we have black as a layer mask, and white it will reveal. So it's always the opposite. If you have black layer mask, white will reveal and black will hide. And if you have white in layer mask, it will be the opposite of it. Alright, so now I have black, I will use white. Alright, now I will try to brush using just one click because of this custom brush that we just created. It would work as layers. As you can see, I will give you an example. If I brush in here, you can see this. Now, if I brush again over it, you can see there is what looks like another layer over it. And this is how it's gonna work. Alright, so I'm gonna undo that. So I will press Ctrl Alt Z to go back, or Command Option Z on a Mac. Alright, so I'm gonna brush using the same method, and I only want the body of the model. I don't want the background. We're gonna create our own. So I will brush just like that. So you can make your brush bigger or smaller. It depends on what you like. It's really easy effect to do. I'm just clicking. And you know, if you go over the edges in here, we can always go back and delete that. Now I will double click on this layer mask again, and then I will bring the density to 100% again. And now we can see all the areas that we need to brush over it. Alright, so I will just follow the body in here. Alright, now I will put the opacity of the brush to around 40 to 30%. And then I will switch my foreground color to black, so I can delete from these edges in here. You know, it's cool if you want to keep them, but for me, I just want to make them fade a little bit, so I will try to hide it. Let me put down the opacity even more. And you know, you can always right click and you know, rotate your brush so we'll have a good angle of the brush. For example, on this one I want this angle in here, so I will delete using this angle. Alright, I like this. Now I'm going to create a copy of this layer, so I'm gonna press Ctrl J or Command J, and then I will change the blending mode of it. Instead of multiply, I will put screen, and this will really brighten the image. So I will put down the opacity to around 50%, and then I will select my layer mask and I will change it to black, so I have black as my foreground color. So I'm gonna press Alt Delete, or you know, Option Delete, and then I will switch my foreground color to white so I can reveal. Alright, so using the same brush, I'm gonna try to brighten the face of the model. So I will put the opacity to around 50%, and I will make my brush bigger and maybe rotate it, and then I will brush over the face in here. That's like that. Alright, so I like this. As you can see, we brighten the face a little bit. And you can always go back and press X and delete from the areas that we don't like. For example, I want this part of the hair to be brightened, so I'm gonna use white as my foreground, and I will brighten it even more. And in this part too. Alright, as you can see, this looks good. Now I will select this canvas in here, and I will create a new layer above it, and I will call this colors. And then I will go to my path in here, and if you remember, we have our path in here saved, which is mean that we can load the selection from it. So I will right click on it, and then I will choose make selection, and I will press OK, and this will load the selection. Now I will go back to layers, and then I will one click on this layer mask in here, and this will add a layer mask with the shape of the canvas in here, which is mean that we can brush inside this canvas without affecting what is surrounding in here. Alright, so I will make sure that I'm selecting the layer instead of the layer mask, and then I will sample some colors in here using my color picker. So I will use blue, maybe this blue, or you know, I can sample this blue from here and brighten it just a little bit, and I will press OK, and I will keep the opacity set to 50%, and I will make my brush bigger, and I will start adding some colors in here. That's a little bit. Alright, now I will sample the color of the hair, so I will press Alt or Option, and this will allow me to sample a color from the image. So I will sample this color, and I will add it just like that, so it will look like the color is bleeding from the watercolor in here. and I will do the same for this part, but this time I'm gonna rotate my brush by right click and rotate it, and I will make it bigger. Alright, and I will do the same in here, and maybe in here. And then I will use another color, so I will open the color picker, and this time I think I will use a yellow color. Alright, and I will add some yellow in here. And again I will sample color from the hair, and I will rotate it, and maybe add even more. Alright, I like this. You know, for the sake of this tutorial, I will stick with this, and you know, I might go back and edit this later, but for now it will work. Alright, now I will select this first layer in here, and then I will go to adjustments, and I will add a vibrance in here, and I will put around 70 in the vibrance, and for the saturation I will put around 20 to 15. So I will keep it 15 in here, and as you can see, this will enhance the color quite a bit, which is what we want. Alright, now I will go again to adjustment, and this time I will add a level adjustment, and I will go to the channels, and I will mess with the red and the blue channels in here using this slider. Alright, and I will go to the blue, and again I will add some colors. Alright, and I think I'm gonna bring down the opacity to around 70%. Alright, I like that. As you can see, we ended up having a really awesome result. It won't be like the previous one that I made, but you know, that's what's really cool about this effect. You will end up having a different result every time you try to make this effect. Alright, so I hope that you enjoyed and you liked this tutorial and it was a little bit helpful for you. Don't forget to subscribe and comment, and you know, let me know if you tried this. I would love to see your result, and have a nice day. Thank you for watching.